Hello everybody, I'm going to be talking about cannabis. What is cannabis? So cannabis has over 400 chemical properties consisting of cannabinoids, terpenes, and plant molecules. These have many benefits to the human body, and to know about cannabis, you have to know about its origin and what it actually is. The cannabis family falls under three subspecies: sativa, indica, and frutillaris. Sativa is long and stringy because of where it's grown. Indica is short and bushy and very resinous because of the area that is grown also. And frutillaris is the wild cousin, which is pollinated with a cactus plant. So cannabis and cactus both meet to create the frutillaris. Okay, so cannabis is an annual plant, which means that it only takes 12 weeks to grow. There's 6 weeks within the vegetative cycle and 6 weeks within the flowering cycle. Cannabis plants are dibycious, which means that they're male and female. Sometimes there are hermaphrodites, and the hermaphrodites are caused by stress. So right here we have a picture of the female plant and the male plant. The male plant, you can see that it has seeds and like tiny little sacs, and the female plant, you can see that it has hairs. The hairs are the THC which it produces. Now, how to get THC is you take the male plant away from the female plant, and what the female plant does is that it's asking for a male so that it can fertilize, or so it can pollinate. So right here we have a good close-up of how it looks. So we have how to grow cannabis. You start with a seed. First, you germinate the seed by putting it in a wet napkin. You let it sit in the dark for 3 days. After that, you put it inside of what's called a Rockwell cube. A Rockwell cube is 0.5 of the nutrients that you need to grow an actual plant. So it's like a baby nutrient. After it's a seedling, you're putting it in a controlled area, but it can also grow outside. Controlled areas give you a better yield. So the vegetative stage takes about 6 weeks. The flowering stage takes about 6 weeks, but it generally takes how much time you want it to actually grow. So you can have it for 3 weeks and 3 weeks, 4 weeks and 4 weeks, 12 and 12, or 2 and 2. You're the person who can change the growth of it. It can grow naturally, but you have more power over it. So here's a time lapse of the actual cannabis plant growing. Try to get a little fast 1 minute video. So basically it's growing in a controlled area, and usually it only takes about 10,000 lumens, which is a way to rate the intensity of light. Some plants have what's called a high pressure sodium or a metal halide light, which is different spectrums of the actual light. So light has a whole bunch of colors. They're gonna give you the red and the blue spectrum. You're gonna see how it gets to its, now right here in this stage, you're gonna see how it kind of gets dark a little bit. These are the times that it switches from 12:12 to, it switches from 12 hours on and 12 hours off. That's about it. Origin. Its origin predates human recorded history. You can see right here, the cannabis sativa plant originated in Africa, but the first plant to be known and written and recorded was in Asia. It was domesticated and traveled throughout a combination of pollination and people taking it to every other country made its way, and that's why we have a whole bunch of different strains in the world. Because we have three subspecies, we also have building block strains, which are land races, which strains that originated in each of these each of these regions. The landrace strains originated in Africa and Asia, and then they've been bred for potency, not really to keep the name. So we've lost the names of the cannabis, but we've kept the chemical compound, so you can get the name from the chemical compound. Cannabinoids. Now, cannabinoids were first discovered they were the first person to isolate cannabis is Raphael McCollum. He is a scientist who, by finding THC, he found THC and CBD by testing a combination of multiple different solvents. So he went through a list. He went through water. He went through certain types of gases, and he found himself that the best way to isolate cannabis was through alcohol washing, and steam distillation. Miles Heckerman discovered the endocannabinoid system in the body in 1990. So the endocannabinoid system is a series of networks that appear naturally in the body, and he was the first person to map it out. And this is THC. This is your receptors in action. So what happens basically is that transmitters cannabinoids are protein-based transmitters that promote homeostasis within the body. So they promote cell communication. And the receptors in your body are your CB1 and your CB2. CB1 is located in your head and in your central nervous system. CB2 is located in your body. So right here we see what the receptors do, and what the endocannabinoid system does is that it releases dopamine into your system, but at a controlled and regulated level. So what cannabinoids do is they act as what your body produces, which is called GABA, which regulates cannabinoids it regulates communication, so anything can be traveling within your cells, and this just keeps it in check. Basically, when it comes to your receptors, it basically promotes homeostasis and keeps your signals and everything in your brain and your body going right. So, now, during all this time, we've realized that that extractions are the way to go, because smoking is hazardous to your health, and smoking anything causes cancer. So, an example is the person who isolated THC basically gave way to what you see right here, which is a list of different consistencies that you get from different solvents added to THC and extracted. So right here you're going to see rosin. Rosin is made with a rosin press, which is heat and pressure. This right here is called I forget the name, but it's like a distillery machine, which basically you put your extract in here, it cooks it, heats it up, and it goes through a series of tubes where it cleans it, and it comes out and it gives you a more isolated product. This right here is a butane hash making machine, which you can throw any solvent in here, and it's gonna run the solvent through this tube, and it's gonna go down, hit the cannabis, come out, and then you're gonna get your extract here. You put this through a series of strains, and then you cook it down. So people think that cannabinoids are the only thing in cannabis that gets you medicated. I'm not gonna say high, so I'm gonna say medicated. So these are a list of terpenes, and terpenes are aromatic hydrocarbons that have a lot of benefits to the human body. And one example is that they would use the terpene limonene in labs to like clean the entire area. So what they would do is they would see what would happen to the affected area, and then they came to the conclusion that limonene kills cancer. So in moderation, all these terpenes are good for you, and what they and you know, you're not supposed to take one, you know, an abundance of one. You're supposed to take a little bit of each. So, you know, terpenes exist all through nature. There's over 6,000 terpenes, and 200 of which are in cannabis. So this is a list of all the terpenes that you see, and humulin is related to hops. So hops is related to beer. Lavender is related to linalool, and that's why you kind of smell like a floral scent from cannabis, or you might smell a skunky scent, which is attributed to, if I'm not mistaken, journal right there, roses and white grapes. And so the whole point of this is basically for you guys to know what cannabis is, where it comes from, and the benefits of it. So one example of the benefits of cannabis is this hat, and the other example is this right here. This is called hemp wick. It's basically like if you wanted to make a candle and you wanted to put this in, you know, this actually is made from cannabis. So, you know, you guys can like hold it and like try to like break it. You really can't because it's kind of unbreakable. And hemp is a very good alternative because an acre of hemp creates more cellulose than an acre of trees. So that's just showing you that there's an alternative to the way that we've been thinking for a long time, and we have to look for other types of resources to help us out in the future. And that was kind of long. Had a lot of information.